Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is one back. Walk the ball. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined this morning by Matt Moreno. Matt, it's the morning after game number 2. I'm just going to jump right. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the Austin Barnes decision, whether guys should have scored from first base or second base, etc. Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin getting the ball in game. We're going to get to all that. But let me ask, are we concerned, Matt? 1-1, NLDS, heading to San Diego, home field advantage, no longer a thing. Are we concerned?
I think you have to be a little bit, right? I mean, obviously, it very much depends on how you want to look at Game 2. I know we're going to get into all the different scenarios that the Dodgers sort of had, and Freddie Freeman said it, and one hit here, one hit there, and that's probably a different game.
Yep.
But I mean, I think you always have to be a little bit concerned. Just 2-0 going to San Diego would have been much different than the situation that they now find themselves in, and it's not even just necessarily concerned for whether or not they're going to sort of win the series, but it's even the likelihood of now needing a Game 5 has increased, and that's what you always want to avoid because of then what it means sort of moving forward.
Give me one word. You were there last night. You were covering the game in the press box. You were in the locker room afterwards. You could give me your word. You could give me the vibe in the locker room, the word to describe it. What would you use?
Oh man, I'll give it for me. Interesting.
Okay.
Is how I would describe last night.
Okay. Unpack that a bit.
One, with Dave Roberts' decision to use Austin Barnes, and I know we'll get into it. And I'm somebody who's, advocated for Barnes, if you will. Like, I'm not as down on him as some circles. But still, frankly, I was surprised that Trayce Thompson got a chance to face Josh Hader. I thought that once the Padres went to the lefty, Trace's reverse splits, or if we know about them, the Dodgers certainly know about them. Totally. They let him bat, and I thought, okay. And I thought Chris Taylor just must not be available. Yeah. And then they sent Barnes up to hit for Bellinger, which on some level, like, I can understand that decision, but I know we'll get into it later, so I'll save my thoughts for that. Yeah. Kershaw, kind of struggled, or wasn't really sharp with everything, but hey, got through 5 innings, and frankly, letting him pitch the 5th was a surprise and interesting again, if you will. So that's kind of where I'll go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was deflating. I mean, because it just felt like the game was there for the taking. We know how random this is. You just turned a 5-game series into a 3-game series without home field advantage, which I don't think is the end of the world, especially San Diego, where there's going to be a bunch of Dodger fans. But it just felt like you had a chance to do something to win, and you didn't do it. So let's get into this. I will note, by the way, the Padres have not beaten the Dodgers back-to-back at any point in 21 attempts this season. So if you're looking for a ray of hope, now they were 15-4 in the regular season, and now they're 1-1 in the postseason. So decide what you want to believe. But here's kind of the key to me. I did the math on this. You could argue that from the 4th inning on, the Dodgers could or should have scored in every single inning. Let me walk you through these real quick. Bottom of the 4th, it's a 3-3 game. The Dodgers had first and second with 1 out. Trayce Thompson, Cody Bellinger, both striking out. Okay, the odds of scoring in that inning were 43%. Mathematically, 43%. Okay, bottom of the 5th, 3-3. Mookie leadoff walk. He gets caught stealing. The odds of scoring after the Mookie Betts walk was once again 43%. The Dodgers do not score. Bottom of the 6th, it's now 4-3 Padres. Will Smith singles. Max Muncy hits a ball off the wall and is standing at first base at the end of it. Because of that, we get a Justin Turner strikeout that plates nobody, and then a Gavin Lux double play that shouldn't have been possible. The odds of scoring with first and third and nobody out are 86%. The Dodgers scored 0 runs in that inning. Bottom of the 7th, still 4-3. Cody Bellinger, a 1-out single. Mookie Betts doubles to the gap. Trent Grisham drops the ball he probably should have caught. Odds of scoring, Trey Turner grounds out. Freddie Freeman, intentional walk. Will Smith, fly out. The odds of scoring first and third with 1 out, 68%. The Dodgers did not score in that inning. Bottom of the 8th, 5-3 Padres at this point. Gavin Lux singles with 2 outs. Trayce Thompson walks. Austin Barnes, this is the pinch hitting opportunity. He flies out. The odds of scoring with 2 on and 2 out was 23%. The Dodgers did not score. Bottom of the 9th, Freddie Freeman, 2-out double, followed by a Will Smith fly out. The odds of scoring in that inning were 23%. The Dodgers did not score. In addition to the odds of scoring, there's a number called expected runs. How many runs would you expect to get out of this situation? The total expected runs, if you combine the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, Matt, was 5.73 expected runs scored. The actual runs scored was exactly 5.73 less than that. The Dodgers were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 players on. That does not include the double play. That does not include the caught stealing in that one. The Dodgers had 11 hits, 4 walks, 3 home runs, and they scored 3 runs. When you look at that in totality, and we're going to get into the individual moments, I think there were 4 key moments here. But when you look at that in totality, Matt, that's how I get to deflating. 5.73. We just get to half of that, and the Dodgers win this game. It's completely different. They get 0. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there certainly wasn't a shortage of opportunities, obviously. Some of it, I guess you could chalk up to just, sort of big baseball, but that's what makes the postseason so dangerous, right? This is all it takes to sort of, and I'm not saying that this necessarily happened, but like to change the complexion of a series, or if you get to, a game 5 or a game 7 and this sort of happens again and you're going home, it's not like, oh man, well, we could fix that tomorrow. And so I think honestly, it's just a reminder of how tricky and deflating, cruel postseason baseball can be.
Yeah. Let's go through the key moments. There's 4 of them. We can kind of hit them rapid fire. The first one was the bottom of the 5th. Mookie Betts with a leadoff walk. Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith due up. He attempts a steal. It's on a breaking ball. It's the right pitch to steal on. The catcher makes an absolutely perfect throw. Every replay we saw, it was the right decision not to overturn the call. I think there's a decent chance he didn't get the tag on him in time, but impossible to say. I'll share my thoughts in a second. Your thoughts just on the decision, right? I don't want to play the results here. We know he got thrown out, but the decision in a vacuum for Mookie Betts to steal at that point, bottom of the 5th, I believe the game is 3-3. Your thoughts?
It was fine. I mean, I would even argue that it was the quote-unquote right decision to send him. I know Trey's at the plate, and yes, he's been hot. But at that point, if you get Mookie in a second base and Trey, just gets a base hit or a double, like Mookie's easily scoring. Like you don't necessarily want to have to rely on Trey needing to, possibly hit a home run to get that run in.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, I think it was the right decision. You could play the results and be pissed that he got thrown out. I would say this. Based on everything that happened, I think he's safe 90 times out of 100 on that. I mean, it was a perfect throw. The shortstop did not have to move his glove in order to place that. If he has to move his glove 3 inches, Mookie is safe. It's just bad luck. Sometimes it happens. You play the odds, right? Like I always say this, you can play the odds correctly and you will still sometimes lose because nothing is guaranteed. I thought that was the right one. Okay, let's talk Max Muncy. This is the decision to me, the moment to me that gets lost in all of it. And I think it was Craig Goldstein of Baseball Prospectus, excuse me if I'm messing that up. I think he was on this, and I agree with him completely. Will Smith is standing on first base with nobody out. Max Muncy hits a ball over Juan Soto's head, off of the wall. Juan Soto, not a good fielder. It goes off of the wall, Matt. Max Muncy finishes that play standing on first base. Now, I've heard people say, oh, well, Will Smith, where was he? Will Smith made it to third. Like, if you're Max Muncy, you should be 6 inches behind Will Smith if Will Smith is standing between first and second waiting. You should be, like, there is no excuse for him not to be at second, and the reason this matters is because Justin Turner strikes out, and then Gavin Lux comes up, and he grounds out into a double play. If you've got runners in second and third, Matt, it's 4-4. The game is tied. You've got a runner at third with 2 outs. Instead, the inning is over, no runs. This, to me, was an absolutely monumental brain fart from Muncy that cost them.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I agree in the significance of this moment, but from where I was sitting when Muncy hit it, off the bat, I thought it was going to be an out. And that was before sort of realizing that Juan Soto kind of had his glove. Just the trajectory of it, I didn't think it was going to carry as much as it ended up doing.
It was a bad play by Soto. I think Soto could have or should have made a play on this.
And that's certainly fair. I think what I will say is if my memory serves me correctly, I don't think Muncy was aggressive enough in running up the first baseline.
Not at all.
I think Soto, basically credit to Soto, I guess, if that's how you want to phrase it, for selling.
It's not how I want to phrase it, but you can. I'll allow you to.
For selling the deke.
But this is my thing. The deke should affect Smith. If Smith didn't get to third, then we credit Soto. If you are Max Muncy, no matter what happens, if he catches it, if it goes out of the park, if it lands, you should be busting it up the first baseline, no matter what Soto did, there is no excuse because Muncy should be running as if that ball is going to land. And that's what happened. And he didn't make it to second base. And again, if this is a 4-4 game in the bottom of the 6th, and now you got a runner at third with 2 outs, it's a completely different trajectory because not only that, right? Gavin Lux, I mean, we don't love the bottom of the lineup, but you're just giving one more guy a chance with the runner on third.
Yeah. No, it's definitely fair. And so I think if anything, like this is, sort of an indictment on Muncy not running as hard as he should have. Because even if it
My dog is pissed. My dog could not agree more.
Even if it sort of looked like maybe Juan Soto was going to make that play, like you would want Muncy probably running a little bit harder to be on second base just in case something happened. I mean, you never know. Like we've seen outfielders drop the ball even when it looks like they were going to make the catch. But yeah, I mean, unfortunate.
There we go. Sorry, my dog just absolutely losing her mind here. We're trying to get things under control. Still crazy. Okay, Mookie Betts hits the double. Trent Grisham drops the ball. Cody Bellinger doesn't score. I think this is 4th on the list of key moments to me. Do you think Bellinger should have been able to score on that? There's only 1 out, so they play it conservatively. But again, that was yet another opportunity missed.
I don't necessarily fault him for the actual base running. I will say that I was surprised that Dino didn't wave him home. I thought once it dropped that Bellinger had gotten close enough to second base and then did, round second to go towards third pretty aggressively as the ball was rolling behind him. And, credit to Profar for backing that up and getting it in on time. But as it was unfolding, I expected Dino to send him. And I think it would have been a close play. I don't know.
Yeah.
If Bellinger would, I don't feel comfortable saying Bellinger definitely would have scored, but it was a little surprising.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those, there's 1 out. I understand being a little bit conservative. At the time, it was a 4-3 game. And look, this ball should have been caught. So this is one I have way more grace for a guy like Cody. Could he have been more aggressive, maybe standing closer to second base? Because even if Grisham dives and catches that, you're not getting doubled off first base. But all things considered, I think this is the least sort of egregious of the 4, which leads us to the one again. I'm putting second. I think Muncy not getting to second is the biggest mistake, the biggest cost that they had. But the Austin Barnes pinch hit situation here. I mean, this is the thing everybody is talking about. Gavin Lux, a 2-out single. Trace Thompson walks. Again, I agree with you. I thought Trace Thompson hitting there was somewhat surprising. I get you don't want to go to a lefty like Gallo, but I'm just like, we're down 2 runs at that point. Like, I'll just take my chances on the swing and miss with Gallo that maybe he runs into something the way Trace, who I've defended, has looked, which is terrible, and then Cody after him. So Cody Bellinger gets pinch hit. Everybody in the world is happy about that. There's not a single person that is like, oh, I'm bummed Cody Bellinger's coming out of this game. And yet, when Austin Barnes is announced, I had him last. I would rather have had Vargas hit, obviously. He's probably the top of my list. Chris Taylor, even if he's banged up, which, as we've said, he's going to start on Friday, so he must not be that hurt. I would have put Joe Gallo in. I would have left Cody Bellinger in. Literally, this is the 5th of 5 possible choices. He is last on my list. Now, I don't want to diminish. It's first and second 2 outs, so we're not talking about second and third with nobody out or something. It's first and, like, the expected runs here is 0.44. The odds of scoring is 23%. Regardless, 5-3 game, you need a hit. Austin Barnes, Austin Barnes, this is what we're doing. This is the guy that we're going with here.
Yeah, I would say, if it was second and third, nobody out, and you're pinch hitting with Austin Barnes, I would be more comfortable with that at that point because, maybe
he'll put the ball in play.
Right, or gets, a bunt down type thing.
Yep.
But first and second, Hader on the mound, it's a tough matchup for any of the Dodgers options, even including, like you said, leaving Bellinger in potentially. I would have gone, if you're going to pinch hit, I would have gone to Vargas. And look, it would have been his postseason debut. It would have been quite the moment for him. But this is like, I imagine that the Dodgers, when they're running through scenarios of why Miguel Vargas is on the roster, they would have had to have thought, maybe not Josh Hader specifically, but at some point, I imagine there was a conversation of, hey, there may be a tough lefty on the mound with 2 outs. Like, can we trust him? My guess is yes. So then why not? Like, that was almost a perfect moment for him. And I'm not saying he would have delivered in that situation.
Right.
Had he not, I would have completely, look, it's a rookie. It's tough.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving Miguel Vargas that opportunity, then should Hanser Alberto have been on the roster? Because he'll put the ball in play, I think.
Yeah.
And with Austin Barnes, it could very much be more just like perception versus reality. But like, I don't necessarily trust him to get like a single here and there, right? Like he sort of runs into home runs, and that's what makes it like ironic. And I guess that's what they were hoping for last night, but I don't know. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, the joke was, he could put the ball on the bat on the ball. He's good with high velocity. And I think it was Chad Murama who tweeted. It was basically like, well, this is exactly, yes, he put the bat on the ball, but like he hit a fly ball. Like what did you expect to happen? By the way, Austin Barnes, 212 batting average this year, 215 batting average last year. And if you think he's a postseason hero, he has a 192 career postseason batting average, a 267 postseason career on base percentage, and a 269 slugging percentage. Add in the fact against Hader. I'm with you. Is it a good spot for Vargas? No. It's a bad spot for everybody. Hader's nasty right now. He's a lefty. The Dodgers, that's like the worst case scenario for them. So to say, oh, well, Vargas couldn't have handled it. Barnes couldn't handle it. Like Bellinger could. Like none of these guys would have been set up for success, and yet you still have to give yourself the best chance. So if Vargas's odds of getting on base there are 25%, and that's 3 to 4% points better than Chris Taylor, whoever, then you do it. And this one, to me, I'll never understand. But I need to move on for my own mental health from talking about Austin Barnes in that moment and hope they win. Because if they don't win, that is just going to haunt me. I was fully prepared, Matt, by the way. I was about to fire off Austin Barnes. I'll never say another negative thing about you. Like, if he gets a big hit there. And little did I know I had nothing to worry about. Let's do this real quick. I want to talk Clayton Kershaw, the pitching last night. Then we'll talk Gonsolin, the decision to give him the ball in Game 3. What were your thoughts on Kershaw's performance? He finishes 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Like you said, grinds it out, guts it out. I was surprised they brought him back to face the top of the order in the 5th. He gets 3 outs. 2 of those balls were hit over 100 miles an hour. Like, it wasn't like he settled in. I think he just got a little bit fortunate. I've got a B- grade on Kershaw last night.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And a lot of it's interesting because with him, it's, how the Padres sort of got to their 3 runs and Machado hitting the homer in the first inning. Because if you look at Kershaw's line and you look at Julio Urias from Game 1, it's identical, right? But nobody in Game 1 was saying, oh, look at Julio struggling again in October, choking this and that. But Kershaw gave up the home run to Machado, and we got a ton of those responses. Like, here we go again with Kershaw. And so it's just kind of funny to see sort of how the outing was consumed and perceived by people.
It looked different. I mean, Kershaw, it was like, you could tell. It's like, oh, geez, he just does not. I mean, he gets 6 strikeouts, but it was like, no, he didn't have it. I mean, he just didn't have it. So kudos to him for getting through it. But I actually agree with those folks. I've got B- on both guys, but I do think Kershaw's was a worse looking B-. This was a 79.5 B- rather than an 82 B- for Julio.
I think that's fair, but also, Kershaw did get himself out of trouble multiple times where innings could have seriously gotten away from them, and they didn't, right? He got the back-to-back strikeouts. I forgot what inning it was. So I think there was stuff like, it wasn't what I expected from him, but I don't think it was as bad as some people, were making it out to be.
By the way, for all the Dodgers, we complained 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, 10 left on base. The Padres were 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. So I had this moment where it was like, we're going to act like we blew it, and I think that's fair because we had expected runs in 4 through 9. But early in the game, the Padres had a bunch of those opportunities where it was like 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, and Kershaw wiggles out of it. So I think both teams, whoever lost, was going to look back on that game frustrated with how it played out. Briefly, Gratterall, unearned run, Trey Turner error. I kind of tweeted like, look, my fear with Gratterall all along is that the ball gets put in play. Yes, it's a seeing eye single. Yes, it's an error. That's what happens when the ball gets put in play and you have guys like Trey Turner who struggled defensively last night behind you. It's an unearned run. I didn't think he was terrible. Almonte and Canely, perfect innings, struck out the side, both of them. And then Treinen, first appearance, 1 hit, 2 walks, 1 earned run. That was the home run. So Gratterall, Treinen, anything jump out to you from that bunch?
Not too much. Gratterall was, I think, what we expected, which was a lot of soft contact. And like you said, I guess, and like I've argued last year, with Bellinger, and again this year with anybody, frankly, like you put the ball in play and stuff can happen. So fine. I think the Gratterall decision just sort of, like we said, leading up to the NLDS, it was like there wasn't necessarily a clear-cut option who was, quote unquote better than he was, right? Like unquestionably better. So I think it was just unfortunate, but hey, that's what can happen. And with Treinen, I think his velocity dropped a little bit as his appearance kind of wore on, if I'm remembering that correctly. And so I'm a little concerned there just because I don't know how healthy he is. And I think that could be sort of a warning sign, but that won't get answered until the days ahead.
Yeah, the movement was good with Trinan. I'll give him that. I mean, he had one, I think somebody tweeted, it was like a 95-mile-an-hour wiffle ball was the tweet, and the ball, it was a ball, but I mean, the thing, it was disgusting. Okay, last thing here before we move on. Tony Gonsolin gets the ball in Game 3. We sort of presumed that Tyler Anderson was going to be the Game 3 starter. I don't know if this was because they lost. Obviously, Game 3 and 4 are both now guaranteed. So I would say I think Anderson should have started Game 3. And I would also immediately follow that up with, it doesn't really matter because you got to start both of these games somehow. So Gonsolin gets Game 3, presumably 3 to 4 innings. The guess all along has been that Andrew Heaney's the piggyback. Because we haven't seen him, I would imagine that's still the plan to some degree with 3 straight games, no days off in between. Your thoughts on Gonsolin getting Game 3? And by the way, Cody Bellinger getting benched in this game. Chris Taylor will start Game 3. Trace Thompson in center field, which is interesting. Trace is clearly atop that depth chart. Trace in center field and Taylor in left field against Blake Snell.
Yes, I guess I'm not too surprised with Gonsolin. The only thing is, like, I don't understand why the Dodgers sort of handled it the way they did. And I mean, maybe some of it is just gamesmanship and not wanting to tip your hand too early. But they had time. Typically, the way in the postseason when they make players available, starting pitcher will speak with the media either the day before. I mean, in this case, there's an off day in between. So the game before his start. And so Tyler Anderson was who was brought to the interview room. So a lot of us interpreted that as, hey, he's the Game 3 starter.
Interesting.
But then Anderson said, I don't know what the plan is. Things are still up in the air. Dave Roberts echoed that until after Game 2 when he said, yeah, it's going to be Gonsolin. And he didn't really give much of an explanation as to why. So I don't know. I guess maybe they feel there's an off day before Game 3, and so if they need more pieces of the bullpen, it'll be better rested to kind of handle that, and then you worry about the rest later. But yeah, I don't necessarily see, and I don't feel strongly one way or the other, frankly.
Do you think which do you feel better? If you needed a must-win game and your choices were Gonsolin at his current status or Tyler Anderson, who would you prefer as your starter?
Honestly, I think I would go with Anderson, and it's because the Heaney thing concerns me. I mean, he's been susceptible to the home run ball, and that's what we've sort of seen. It's kind of been the difference just across the playoffs. So that's what worries me. Yeah,
I agree. Surprised Bellinger getting benched in this one?
A little bit.
And you could frame it as Chris Taylor getting the start. I'm going to frame it as Bellinger getting benched because, we had a comment in the chat last night, by the way, on playback that instead of Beltober, they called it Swingtober, which I think was a good one. So I mean, he's just been rough. It hasn't looked competitive. He gets a hit last night, but it just has not looked competitive.
Yeah, it's been disappointing. I agree with you. I think this is, the Dodgers, Dave Roberts definitely won't frame it this way, but I think it is a little bit of a benching for Bellinger. The only reason I'm surprised is, again, it's not like Trace has...
No, he was worse. Trace Thompson was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Cody Bellinger was 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Right. Trace Thompson did have a walk, so I guess you could say push there. But yeah, I agree with you. Trace has looked, and as a guy that has defended him to the death, he has looked equally incompetent.
And frankly, I was even surprised that Trey started Game 2 after a rough night at the plate in Game 1. And I'm not saying that was an easy catch, but he backed himself into the wall and didn't give him an opportunity to jump for that home run. Yeah. Another difficult play, the diving catch that he tried, he didn't get there. And I wondered if the Dodgers were going to look at that and say, okay, like we trust Chris Taylor defensively as well, and let's give him the start in Game 2. But yeah, I mean, not only mildly surprised, I guess, that Trace is now getting another start in Game 3 because it's not like his splits are, impressive.
Yeah, 0 for 6 with 2 walks. Trace Thompson, 3 strikeouts so far. So 2 walks. So I guess he's, I can't remember if Bellinger reached in the first game, but both guys have looked like if they're up in a big spot, which they were early in this game, you don't feel great. You don't feel great about even, they both struck out in the bottom of the 4th with runners on 1st and 2nd. And you don't even feel great about those guys putting the ball in play. It's very boom or bust, Joey Gallo style. So there you have it. All right, that's Matt Moreno. My name is Jeff Spiegel. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully it's a little therapeutic Game 2, just talking it out a little bit. We'll be back tomorrow with more coverage for Game 3. Matt, you'll be down in San Diego covering the game, it sounds like. So
Yeah,
enjoy safe travels down the freeway there. Enjoy beautiful San Diego. Hopefully we get lots of Dodger fans joining you on that trip. You can check out DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958 on social media. Check out our YouTube page as well. Subscribe, ring the notification bell. Tons of post-game content, including Dave Roberts explaining some of the decisions he made on our YouTube channel. We're part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. If you're a podcast person, we got tons of coverage coming, playback, watch-alongs, pre-games, post-games. Make sure you're following us to get details about that. That's Matt. I'm Jeff. As always, enjoy the rest of your day. And, of course, go Dodgers.